Дорогие друзья, меня зовут Рысева Ксения, я являюсь абсолютным победителем Всероссийской олимпиады школьников по английскому языку. Также являюсь призером олимпиад Покори Воробьёвы горы, Ломоносов, Франк-Хикс, Евразийской олимпиады школьников. И я учусь в МГУ на факультете иностранных языков и регионоведения уже вот 3-й год, получаю огромное удовольствие. И сегодня я хотела бы вам рассказать про 13 основных американских ценностей. Давайте же приступим. Sorry about it. I just given this lecture to the American students as well, so I had to write down all the audio recordings. Right, so there was a classification in 1971. It was created by Robert Kohls. He was a leading cross-cultural researcher at Washington International Center, and he classified all the American values into 13 major ones. We're speaking not about the values of each individual American, not individual American, but overall, about all the Americans. So surely one person can have different decision from what this classification tells us, but it's a major outline of what an American person might act like. All right, so now we are going to have a vote. I'm going to ask you questions and you're going to raise your hands for the option that you prefer. So, you were offered a position in 2 big companies. You were dreaming about both at the same time. Both are well paid and offer great opportunities. What would you do? Option A, choose company number 1. Option B, choose company number 2. C, do nothing and wait until time makes its natural choice. And D, toss a coin. Who is for option either A or B? Please raise your hand.
What is it, toss a coin?
Toss a coin is to pull up a coin and then see which side it falls down. So only one person is for side A or B. Who is for option C or D? Please raise your hand. C or D? Who is for option A? Who is for option B? C? And D? All right. So, according to this classification, an American would have chosen option A or B, while we Russians would have chosen D or C. So, it's like that, as we can see according to this vote. So, Americans value personal control over the environment, while we Russians value fate. So, Americans believe that there is no power of fate, and those who believe so are very backward. They do not live up to modern classification, up to modern values, and they are lazy, basically. They are unwilling to make any initiative. And men should control nature, not vice versa. All right, situation number 2. Are you ready? Okay, so a new neighbor moved in the house next door. You know that they are 30 years old, they have divorced 3 times, and have changed a number of jobs. What would you think of them? A, it's normal, they're nice and moving forward. B, it's strange, I should be very careful about this person and keep my distance. So who is for option A? Who is for option B? Who is for option B? No abstaining, everyone has to vote. Who is for option B? Okay. So, according to this classification, Americans would have chosen option A because they value change. They think that change makes us move forward and it makes the life move forward. Everything has to begin anew. While we Russians value tradition, everything has to be stable, the person has to stay at their home with their family, and everything should be very expected. So we live in a normal way. And Americans believe that hard work and believe in hard work, and they believe that each individual has a responsibility to do everything they can. They cannot sit at one place, they have to move forward. Alright, situation 3. On the way to the lecture, you have met a friend whom you haven't seen for a long time. What would you do? A, chat with your friend and be late for the lecture. B, make an appointment with your friend, and B, to the lecture in time. Who is for A? So you will stop and chat. Who is for option B? So you would make an appointment. Okay, it's really strange because usually Russians prefer option A. You see your friend, you stop, and you are late for everything. I would have chosen this option myself. But Americans would make an appointment. Why? Because they value time and its control, while we Russians...
Just like this.
Yes, sorry, thank you. So we value time and its Americans value time and its control, while we Russians value human interactions, more important for us. Why? Because for Americans, schedules are meant to be made and followed. They don't make it like that. You made an appointment, you go for it. You shouldn't be late at any time. It's rude, even if you're late for 10 minutes, it's rude in America. While here in Russia, it's quite all right to be late. And they are more concerned with getting things done on time. We can postpone our deadline and feel all right about it, while they would not. Never, never. All right, situation number 4. You are trying to park your car in front of the university and finally find a parking spot. Another car wants to go for it, which is driven by your lecturer. What should you do? A. Park your car at this spot. B. Let your lecturer park their car and find another place for yourself. Who is for option A? Who is for option B? The major part is for option B, and according to this classification, it's all right for Russians to make this choice. Why? Because Americans value equality. They believe that all people were created equal by God and everyone has equal opportunities in life. So we're all equal and we shouldn't allow a lecturer to park a car at this spot. Why? If we arrived at the same time. And we value hierarchy. And we follow it even if we don't understand it. We follow it subconsciously. Situation 5. All your friends are going to the cinema, but you don't feel like going. You don't want to go. What would you do? A. Go because you want to be a part of the group and do not what your friends to think that you stand out. B. Don't go because you don't want to. So, who's for option A? Who's for option B? So we've divided 50-50. All right, so usually Americans would choose option B because they value individualism and privacy. They have their own, it's hard to translate in Russian, even the term itself, privacy, it's intranslatable. Because it's not only your personal space, but it's also your material objects that you have. And much, much more is laid inside this term privacy. While Russians are believed to be very collective, it's due to our history, to our mindset, because of those years we've had this, what's so called? We had this крепостное право. So it's inside our mindset that we should live in a group, we shouldn't actually get out of it, we shouldn't stand out. We should be like everyone else. Well, Americans, they don't think so. And they are more individualistic in their thoughts than they actually are. For example, if you know the system of American, the political system, you might remember that there are how many parties? Two. Yes, exactly. And what are those two parties? No, that's Britain. That's Britain, yes. So, what are two American... Democrats and Republicans. Yes, you're right, Republicans. Yes. Sorry, my slides are killing me. Well, there are actually two options, so they are not as individualistic as they might think themselves. And they also feel quite painful about their absolute freedom to express their ideas anywhere and anytime. All right. So, situation 6. Both parents in a young family need to work in order to earn the living. And wife has a mother who is retired and lives nearby. What should they do? A. Ask grandmother to help with the child. B. Hire a babysitter. What would you do personally in this situation? Who's for option A? Ask grandmother. Yes, I do agree with you. And B? Who's for option B? Hire a babysitter. Only 2 people. All right. So Americans would have chosen option number B. For us, it's quite all right to live in big families, and it's all right if our grandmothers raise our children. For them it's not, because they believe in self-help. So a person can take credit for only what he or she has accomplished themselves. And if you do not help yourself, nobody will. even your closest parents. When they are 18, they get kicked out of the house in major cases, and they go to the university, they work, they do whatever they want. Their parents no longer care about them in most situations, and I'm not speaking about individual ones. And they have to rely on their own powers, and success only comes through hard work and sacrifice. That's it. While we Russians, we can rely on others because we are quite acquainted, we believe in collectivism, we live in it, and we feel alright about it. Situation 7. You are listening to a lecturer, the professor says something you do not agree with. What would you do? A. Find a way to share your opinion during the lecture. B. Wait and tell nothing during the lecture as you might be wrong. So, who's for option A? Who is for option B? Alright, that's an interesting division. Because usually Russians choose option B. They wait until the end of the lecture and then quietly come to the lecturer and ask something, ask their questions. While Americans would choose option A. Why? Well, according to the classification, Americans value competitiveness. Even in high school, in the middle school, and although junior schools, they are quite accustomed to competitiveness. The children are asked to answer the questions that other children do not answer to. And they believe that competition brings out the best in any individual. And also, if you remember about the economic system of the United States, they have free enterprise, so they have competitive economy. If you do not compete with your colleagues, then you will earn nothing, basically. While we Russians, we value cooperation. Once again, it comes from collectiveness. Situation 8. It is winter. It's coming. Your friends are planning the summer holidays. What should you do? A. You ask them for details and start planning your holiday. B. You will laugh and recommend to postpone their planning. So, who's for option A? Who's for option B? Okay. So, Americans would have chosen option A because they believe in future orientation. They believe that what they do now and what they did in the past is for the greater future. So it doesn't mean a thing if you work hard today, if you are ill, if you live in the dirt, it's nothing. You will have a better future then, not now. And we Russians think that all the bad things were in the past. Like, have you heard your grandparents saying, well, in the past it was better? Well, in the past I was younger, and stuff like that. So it's this division between us and Americans. And Americans, they put all their energy towards the future to achieve their goal. And man, not fate, can and should be the one who controls the environment. So once again, it's personal control over the environment and value that's opposed to fate. Future situation 9. 2 immigrants went to the USA. They didn't know enough English, and they first one took an entry-level job that requires no qualification. The second one decided to wait for a better job, learning English meantime. Which strategy would you prefer? Who's for the first strategy? To take an entry-level job. Who's for strategy? The second one? So the major part is for the second option. Well, Americans would have chosen option number 1 because they believe that why wait and do nothing? You should work hard to achieve something. If you sit just there and learn English, it will do you no good. You have to work. And work more, get more, climb up the social ladder faster. And we Russians believe that being orientation is more important if we specialize in the qualities, our inner qualities, that we might earn something more. Situation 10, we're getting close to the ending. Your boss prefers to be called Bill or Mr. Brown. What would you call your boss? Who is for Bill? Who is for Mr. Brown? Yes. So Americans would have called their boss Bill because they value informality. They believe that formality creates nothing but borders between people. And they believe that informality is equal to equality. So it's the same. There's no classification or hierarchy. While we Russians try to create these borders, and because we value hierarchy. Situation 11. You are negotiating a business deal. You understand that your company does not have powers to complete the deal. What would you do? A. Tell your partner that you cannot do it and reject the deal, business deal. B. Tell that you are good, give the partner your office phone number, and tell the secretary that if he calls, you are not in the office. All right, so who's for option A? Who's for option B? All right. So Americans would have said that they are not able to complete this deal. They value directness. They even say that they prefer to say something that is negative, some negative information, instead of trying to get around with it. And we Russians would rather save our face. Like, we are all right, we are very valuable, you should value my contact, and I'm not in the office. Okay, so for Americans, this our indirect approach is insincere, manipulative, and untrustworthy. So if you, even for one time, you try to lie to American and he understands it, you are out of this business at all. All right, so it's St. Valentine's Day. It's very romantic. What should a boyfriend give to his girlfriend? A can opener. It's like a can and you open it. Like condensed milk, tuna, and stuff like that. As she was in need of one. It's cheap and practical. And A. And B, a bunch of flowers and a box of chocolate. So girls, what would you prefer rather? A can opener or a bunch of flowers? Who is for option A? Who is for option B? Okay, girls, I'm surprised at you. I really am. So Americans would rather give a can opener because it's practical and it's cheap, and this person will need it in the real life and they'll use it every day and they will be quite happy about it, this can opener. And we Russians would rather give something idealistic, something beautiful, something romantic. I would prefer a bunch of flowers, really. All right, so for Americans, their main philosophy is pragmatism. Everything should be practical, everything should be down to earth. Situation 13, that's the last one. You find yourself in heaven. You are given a chance to return to the earth, but with one set of conditions. What would you choose? A. You are given a big house or an apartment downtown, a fancy car, hefty sum on your bank account. Or B, peace of your soul, an ability to see through people and be able to hear their thoughts, insight into the secrets of the universe. So, who is for a big house? Raise your hand. Who is for an ability to see into human souls? Yes, those are Russians. I see that you are Russians. Because materialism is one of the main values of Americans. They believe that it's actually equal to practicality plus hard work. So when you work hard, you have to obtain something. That would be it. Then they change house every 5-6 years. They want something new. Also, they change their car every 2-3 years. Once again, something new. They have to show to your friends that you've got a new car. You work hard. And they have all the new gadgets, TV sets, all the innovation. They have to have everything of that at their home. While we Russians prefer something more philosophical, something more deep, and well, definitely not change our house 5-6 years, right? All right, so here are 13 American values. If you want to, you can make a photo. We have talked about all of those, and if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. I'll try to answer them. Everyone did the photo. All right, yes. So thank you very much for your attention. I was glad to have you. Thank you.